For this panel discussion, we have on stage our speaker, Kapil Makhija, CEO for Unicommerce, in conversation with Ruhail Amin, Senior Editor for BW Business World. So please put your hands together, inviting these two gentlemen on stage, and they will be discussing about how a great purchase experience can help in building a profitable D2C business in the changing landscape of growth, challenges, and opportunities in the D2C universe. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Kapil Makhija, CEO, Unicommerce, and of course, Ruhail Amin, Senior Editor, BW Business World. Thank you.
Thank you, Shobha, and thank you, everyone. What a wonderful session and what a wonderful turnover it has been. We're just discussing that D2C is the conversation and everybody wants to hear about. So our topic is how a great post-purchase experience can help in building a profitable D2C business. Kapil, my first question to you, we have 15 minutes, exactly 14 minutes. You know, if you look at the last 2 years, the D2C ecosystem has grown phenomenally, and a lot of cash has been burnt on customer acquisition. So what are some of the big challenges that D2C brands face while scaling their business as the ecosystem matures and profitability becomes a key factor?
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible now. Great. It's great to be here. I think we were, like Ruhail mentioned, we were discussing that D2C has been the flavor for the last 2 years, and the turnout kind of shows that the interest this topic has garnered, not just of investors, consumers, businesses. So yes, a lot of money, as Ruhail mentioned, a lot of money has been spent in acquiring, and a lot of money has gone behind building great D2C businesses so far. It has been an investor's darling for the last 2 years, and a lot of money, rightly so, because India, we fundamentally believe, has been a brand-starved country for the longest of time. And thanks to the innovations that a lot of these entrepreneurs have brought about, has given all the consumers like us a lot of access to good quality brands at the right price and to be able to serve their needs. But what we've also been seeing is that many brands get to a certain scale, maybe let's say a 1 to 5 CR annual revenues, and after that brands start to struggle. They're not able to grow beyond it. A lot of money goes behind acquiring customers, spending on Facebook, Google, and getting customers to shop. But after that, they're not able to get those customers to repeat purchases. So I would maybe categorize the challenges that, and we are working today with almost 300 plus D2C brands. And many of them have actually scaled up to 100 CR, 500 CR revenues as well. So comparing the journey of those brands versus those who've not been able to scale beyond a 5, 10, 15 CR of annual revenues, I think I would categorize it in 3 broad buckets. One is, because when many of the D2C brands started, I think, like I said, India was a very brand-starved country. But now with all the funding coming in, with all the money coming in, there was intense competition amongst the brands themselves to vie for the same set of paying consumers. So one key differentiation is that brands have to continuously focus on making sure that their pitch is very effective. They stay true to the value that they communicate to the brand in terms of their marketing messaging, in terms of the purchase experience, in terms of the post-purchase experience. Second is focus on execution. There are a lot of plans that get built on Excels and slides, but ultimately the brands who succeed are the ones who are able to execute it, for which they need people, they need technology, and they need processes. And I think one difference that I've seen of brands who've scaled up to a 500 to 1,000 CR revenue versus 5 CR is the difference in execution. Sometimes they fail in people, sometimes they fail in processes, so they shortchange on maybe getting like short-term thinking on getting cheaper cost or not investing enough behind the people, behind processes as well as technology. And finally, increasingly we are seeing the third bucket is post-purchase experience. There is a lot of talk about getting the customers, making sure that they come to the website and purchase, get the GMV. But because now that everyone is talking about profitability, there is a lot of focus now on post-purchase experience, and that's the third bucket where some of the great D2C brands have excelled in making sure that customers love their products and also love the overall post-purchase experience. So in terms of whatever messaging they put on the website, the product actually delivers that messaging. Second is the post-purchase experience. Are you delivering an Amazon-like experience in, deliveries? Are you ensuring that your deliveries are happening on time? Because, for example, and there are statistics that if, let's say, a product is delayed by a day, even in discretionary categories like fashion, the chances of a return increases 3 times. If that's the benchmark that you have to work against, your supply chain, your post-purchase experience becomes very important. In personal care, are you sending a near expiry product then spoiling the customer experience? Are you sending a different sized product in fashion? All of those things have started to matter because the consumers are very demanding now. So I think just to summarize 3 things, one is the positioning. It has to be very crisp and you have to stay true to the commitment that you make to the consumer. Second thing is execution versus planning. So invest in people, processes, and technology. And third is take care of post-purchase experiences. It's as important, if not more important, than the pre-purchase journey that you lay for your consumers.
Right, and staying on the post-purchase part, we have seen a lot of brands focus on acquiring new customers. That is the key focus. And they often regard the sales as an endpoint. But tell me, most of us tend to forget about the customer once they check out. How can D2C players maintain that focus while they are going on aggressive customer acquisition at the same time?
Yeah, so in fact, in the last panel discussion also this point came up, right? You spend so much of marketing dollars in just getting to acquire the customers. And if you forget about the post-purchase experience and not about retaining those customers, effectively you're losing out all the marketing dollars that you've spent in acquiring those customers. So D2C brands, for them to ensure that they can have a seamless post-purchase experience, again, based on our experience working with many brands. One is that supply chain plays a very critical role. So make sure that and there is this new concept of having micro warehouses, you have fulfillment locations closer to the customer so that you are able to deliver the goods faster. And by the way, consumers are not demanding, thanks to the Blinkits of the world, even discretionary categories like fashion, footwear. We are seeing customers demanding same-day deliveries, which probably 6 months ago wasn't that big a deal. Because having seen that experience in, let's say, categories of necessity, FMCG, personal care, etc., they're now percolating the same demand. So that puts a lot of strain on the supply chain. So hence, ensuring that delivering, first, ensuring that you stay true to the promise. Most marketplaces or platforms are saying same-day deliveries. Can you deliver that? Today, if you look at the bottom quartile, some of the D2C brands are delivering as late as 8 to 10 days. And that's because probably they are again under-investing on processes or technology. You have to come to the top percentile, which is 1 to 2 days today. And that's where the consumers are heading. Today, consumers want an omni-channel experience. And that's why we're also seeing D2C brands investing behind offline. And as D2C brands are scaling up, many of them are going offline. You will see a lot of D2C brands are now present offline. So omni-channel becomes a very important sort of point to consider for a D2C brand from a post-purchase experience. So one is delivery. Second is making sure that the experience stays consistent with the customers, ensuring that the returns come down. Returns is a necessary evil for e-commerce. We have to provide it to the customers to make sure that they have a smooth experience. But at least you can minimize things which can lower the returns because it is a drain on your P&L again. So making sure that you're delivering the right product, you are not doing any SLA breaches on the platforms on your website. Again, having systems which are talking, so integrated systems. So you are dealing, and today as a D2C brand, you're dealing with multiple systems, right? You're dealing with your own website platform, you're dealing with logistics partners, you have your ERPs, payment gateways, so many things that you have to deal with. Make sure that the information is integrated across all these, because that is why you'll be able to offer a smooth post-purchase experience. There are a lot of queries that customers today call to check where's my order, what happened to my refund, what happened to my returns. All of that, if you have a seamless, interconnected network of systems talking to each other, the response to the customers can be much faster. And that will allay a lot of concerns for customers, particularly in tier 2, tier 3, where we are seeing the most growth. In fact, we published a report a couple of days ago. Tier 2, tier 3 are growing almost 1.5 to 2 times more than metros. And there, the consumers are even more demanding in terms of e-commerce is very new for all of them. So post-purchase experience there plays an even bigger role. So for 3 things I would want to highlight from a post-purchase experience that a brand needs to focus on. One is supply chain, which is deliveries, making sure your forward processes are, are scalable to make sure that you're able to deliver and stay true to the promise. Focus on minimizing returns can be easily done by investing in processes and technology. And third is making sure that you have seamless communication with your customers by having integrated systems that are talking to multiple stakeholders that you have to deal with when offering a seamless post-purchase experience.
Absolutely. I think it's all about building that seamless, purchase experience. Give me a sense of what are the key factors that a D2C brand should keep in mind while building its tech stack?
Yeah. So I think over the last 2-3 years, we've seen a lot of, while we've seen many D2C brands come to the fore, similarly, we've seen a lot of tech providers also enabling this D2C journey. So today, thankfully, thanks to all the tech providers that are out there, a D2C brand really needs to think about the right product and the messaging. All other things you can have technology to take care of. But at the same time, it becomes very important that the different tech providers that you choose, they are talking to each other. So I think there are 3 or 4 key factors that we will recommend for any tech provider that you choose. We are obviously powering post-purchase experience, but there are many who are powering pre-purchase and many other legs of post-purchase experience. First thing that you have to look for is whether the solution is scalable. We have seen many D2C brands start with a suboptimal solution, thinking that I'm at a low scale today. Maybe I'm doing 1,000 orders. At best, I may get to 3,000 orders in a month time, and maybe get to 10,000 orders. So they're solving for maybe 10,000 orders a month, and not solving for when they get to a 10x scale, and which happened to many of the D2C brands in the last 2 years, where they've scaled beyond their imagination. So, and now there are so many more options available. So first thing you have to evaluate is whether the solution is scalable. Can it handle the 10x scale as I am today? And it doesn't mean that the cost will be 10x, right? Like I said, there are many solutions that are available. Second thing is I talked about a seamless information exchange. So data security is very important and has become a very important topic in the recent times. Because a D2C brand today has to deal with many systems, and data exchange will happen across these systems. You have to make sure that there are enough security protocols being implemented in these tech platforms to make sure that the data is secure. Third, again, because you have to deal with multiple vendors, you have to make sure that the different vendors that you're working with can talk to each other. Their integration capabilities are seamless. There are multiple ecosystem partners that they can work with. And finally, obviously, because D2C brands, different industries have different use cases. So you have to also make sure that the vendor that you're going to work with is going to solve your specific use cases or not. So for example, from our perspective, because we're solving for supply chain, fashion would want that inventory accuracy becomes very important, fashion or jewelry, because the ASPs are relatively higher. But in, let's say, a category like FMCG or personal care, expiry management could be very important. Somebody doing innerwear, bundle management could be very important. So there are different nuances for different industries. So you have to make sure that the tech stack that you're building is able to solve for those specific nuances.
Right, right. And which brings me to my last question. We have just 2 minutes left. If you look at the supply chain resilience, it's like ensuring a great post-purchase experience. Give me a sense of how is Unicommerce trying to ensure market access and foster supply chain resilience for D2C brands?
Sure. So Unicommerce is powering today about 20% of e-commerce volumes. About 500 million plus transactions get powered through our platform, but $5 billion of GMV. One of the reasons that we have been able to scale up, and we've served now 15,000 plus brands, one of the reasons we've been able to scale up is because we are solving a very critical point of supply chain, which plays a very, very pivotal role in the post-purchase experience that we talked about. Making sure the goods are delivered on time, making sure the right goods are delivered. Again, the example that I took, that in personal care, making sure that near expiry goods are not delivered to the customer, having a smooth customer experience. And supply chain, as I said, plays a very pivotal role. And one of the reasons we've been able to do that is because, as I said, D2C brand, the universe is very diverse. And we are seeing even more so with the roll-up firms like the likes of Mensa, Global Bees, etc., which are coming up. And by the way, almost all of them are working with us. Is that we're seeing a play of multi-category play coming up. As brands are becoming bigger, we are seeing, let's say Mamaearth, for example, started with the personal care, but now we are seeing them diversifying into multiple categories. TCNS, which is again a customer which has largely been in fashion. In the pandemic, they diversified into personal care. So we are seeing a multi-category play out. And there the supply chain nuances are very different, like I said, for fashion, personal care, etc. So what we have built is a sector-agnostic platform to make sure that we are able to cater to those nuances, that they don't have to deal with multiple vendors to handle their supply chain. Second thing is... can I take
30 seconds, yes.
Sure. The second thing is that we have to make sure that there is a supply chain control tower that's available to make sure that they have a good handle of supply chain metrics. How many orders are getting dispatched within the 24 hours, within 6 hours, whatever tag they fill in. What's the return rate going on, returns for different logistics providers, returns for different channels. Can I get a single dashboard for seeing orders all across platforms? Today, even if we're talking about D2C brands, we're talking about websites, majority of the volumes for D2C brands still comes from e-commerce platforms. We provide a unified dashboard through which they can see their Amazon orders, Flipkart orders, Meesho orders, Snapdeal orders, any platform that you talk about. We've got 160 plus integration. So that's the second. So having a unified interface for them to have a total handle on their supply chain. And finally, making sure that they are able to implement full automation through which they can drive cost reductions. That's the third benefit that we provide to make sure that we have a scalable supply chain as they are able to scale up the brand.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kapil. Thank you for taking out time and sharing your thoughts
My pleasure.
on this.